What's up, everybody? On today's episode, we're going to be talking about grief dog and how to market your grief puppy or grief cat. Does anyone have a grief cat? We're also going to be talking about how to take online conversation and turn it into getting the phone to ring. And then we're also going to be looking at, hey, I'm offering a new type of disposition, whether it's parting stone, green burial, alkaline hydrolysis. How do I have tough conversations about things that people really don't know what they are? All right, everybody, welcome to DISRUPTu, episode 81. I'm Ryan Thogmartin, and this is the Funeral Professions Only Marketing Web Show. We bring you more value than anybody when it comes to marketing and putting out free content like this show. So thanks for tuning in. If you see something that you like, that makes sense, and you want to have a deeper conversation, reach out, comment below, share this, do all the things if you're getting any value whatsoever. Look, there's a lot of you that I get to see out when I'm back on the road now, speaking at conferences, having conversations. I'm hearing, I've been following you for years. We love all your video content. And my response is, great, thank you. I'm appreciative of your eyeballs and your ears. But why have you not called us yet? Why have we not had a conversation about how DISRUPT can help your funeral home or cemetery? So I'm going to challenge you right now to do that. All right, question number one. Ryan, we just got a grief dog. How do I tell my community? There is nothing easier to market for a funeral home or a cemetery than a grief pet. Dude, listen, people love dogs or cats. I don't know. Does anybody actually, I don't know if anyone has a grief cat, but if you've got a grief pet at your funeral home, here are just a few things that you could be doing. Daily documenting the life of that grief pet. I know that sounds crazy, and I know, no, you're not going to, vlog the dog, just follow the dog around all day. However, what's the dog's routine? How does he greet people? How does the dog handle children? Showcasing the interaction that the dog has with the community when they're coming into the funeral home or cemetery is huge, and people will always like dogs more than they're going to like humans. And throw a kid in the mix, game over. That is so easy. So one, announce that you've got a grief dog and why you got a grief dog or pet. Why did you get this grief pet? And what does it mean to be a certified grief pet in a funeral home? There's two pieces of content right there immediately you can start off with. So huge value in a grief pet, but you just got to start talking about the grief pet. One of the things I would love to see a funeral home do is to get a GoPro. They make attachments where you can put the GoPro on the back of the dog's neck, on the collar, and then you can see everything from the dog's point of view. Again, so when a family comes into the funeral home, what's the point of view of the dog? And what if you did a voiceover over that video and made it fun and exciting? So there's a few ways that you can market your grief pet, but look, if you're struggling with that, man, again, reach out to us. This is not an infomercial, but we're thinking about these things on a daily basis and having these conversations, and we're going outside the box to really make a splash in your community. Number dose. Ryan, we're getting great conversation around the content we're posting on social, but it's not equaling the call or the phone ringing. How do we address this? Look, the byproduct of great engagement on social media and the reason that we market is to get the phone to ring, whether that's at need, whether that is pre-need. Here's the deal. If you're approaching social media correctly, then you're focusing more on the relationship of the content and with the consumer. So the content is building a relationship. When you have a relationship with somebody, there's trust and transparency. They know more about you. So the things I just talked about with the grief dog, that is building trust and transparency with your funeral home, because the consumer is learning more about your funeral home or cemetery. So they're getting a deeper connection. There's value in that. Now, just making a post that says, hey, pre-need now, no, that's not gonna get the phone to ring. There's got to be a strategy behind that content. I'm not gonna get crazy deep into it because there's a lot of logistics and a lot of different steps. But here's the thing: once you have that relationship established and you're getting that reoccurring engagement, you can create an audience around those users that have multiple engagements with your content. They're in the funnel, so to speak. And then it's creating specific content and paid content targeted at that specific user, not the whole lump, that's going to get them to go further down the funnel. This is where we get into more of that sales type conversation and getting the phone to ring. Taking the consumer from no relationship with a funeral home, organic content starts to build a relationship, they've engaged multiple times. Now we're going to hit them and retarget them with a certain style of content that's instructing them on what we want to do, and that's pushing them down the funnel. So high value in that, but you need a strategy in place, and you need to know what the engagement looks like, what the engagement is around, and then what's the next conversation that's going to take that relationship a little bit deeper. So that's exactly where we would plug in. We would help you, one, create the relationship content and the strategy, and then two, have a plan of getting that consumer from middle of the funnel out the transaction point at the bottom of the funnel. Again, whether that's at need or pre-need, there's a discussion that needs to happen and an action that you want that consumer to take. It's not going to just magic fairy dust happen overnight. You got to take action, and you got to be strategic about how you do it. And there's an absolute formula and plan that works every single time when done correctly. And that's where we can help you out. You want to know how we're different? Boom, right there's how we're different. We're not just let's throw content that's super generic at every funeral home and let them post it kind of company. We are strategic content for a specific purpose with a specific action plan of what that we want that consumer to do and what value looks like for you. And our last question is this. Ryan, how would you market a non-traditional third option or variant such as green burial, parting stones, which is solidified remains, or alkaline hydrolysis? So these are like three things that aren't normal conversations from a funeral home, right? Green burial is it's becoming more of a mainstream conversation. So if you offer these things, one, you absolutely need to create content around them because it is a marketing advantage. It doesn't mean that your competitors don't offer these options, but if you can be the funeral home that's talking about it, then you're the funeral home that's the expert on it. And when the consumer thinks about it or wants to have that conversation, they're taking your competitor out of the equation because they've only heard you talking about it and creating content around it. So there's value there. Solidified remains is another one that's insanely valuable. Those rocks that Parting Stone creates are beautiful. That's a new disposition category that the consumer's never heard of before, solidified remains. One of the easiest ways is when the consumer's in the funeral home. Do you want cremated remains or solidified remains? Very simple question. But on a social media perspective, the stones get engagement because they're beautiful. So being able to create content around a parting stone and what it is, just introducing it to your community that way, holding it in your hand, talking about it in a 1.5 to 2 minute little video clip, very, very powerful because there will be a lot of questions. You'll get a lot of feedback. You may get people that are like, I don't really understand it. So what? They're entitled to their opinion. That's not a bad thing. They're still engaging with the content, which is helping it reach more people organically. So value in just creating and talking about it. And sometimes we overcomplicate these things way too much, meaning that we try to think about it and one, we're really close to it as the funeral home owner or cemetery. So when we're close to things, it's harder to talk about those things because we have preconceived ideas around, the consumer's not going to like this. The consumer's going to, think this is weird. And we start telling ourselves stories that aren't true. So number one, we got to get the fear out of the way. And then number two, you just have to talk about it. It's very simple. And if you don't like being on camera, there is somebody on your team that will be okay on camera. There's somebody that can talk about it. In fact, a lot of these companies already have content that you can be using across social media. We've partnered with a number of them to create specific content, Parting Stone being one of them. We've created a plethora of posts that you can plug right into your social media strategy if you're partnered with Parting Stone because of a partnership that we have with them. So there's great content that exists, but number one, first and foremost, is you just need to start creating, and you got to talk about it and lose that story that you've told yourself that nobody wants to hear about it, because you absolutely can be the expert. You can create the exposure that you want through social media marketing. You can build relationships with your consumer. You can amplify pre-existing relationships, and you can absolutely make that phone ring. by following a strategic strategy and plan with the purpose of making that happen. All right, that wraps up episode 81 of the DISRUPTu show. Thank you for watching. Again, if you found any value in this whatsoever, share it with a funeral professional that needs to listen to it. Reach out to us. Let us talk about how we can help. Look, we're not for every funeral home or cemetery. I'll give you that. We are not the right company for every funeral home or cemetery. But don't you owe it to yourself to find out how we could help you, or if we could help you, if there's value in a relationship and partnership with us. So I encourage you to reach out. I'll shoot you a link to my calendar. You can schedule a time that's open that works for you, where we can connect online and engage and walk you through our process and how we can help your organization. So until next time, keep disrupting.